Hey guys, it's Lindsay. We are going to do the reading for fire signs for March 2026. As always, if any of these messages don't align for you, please take only what you need and leave the rest. This is the group reading, so not every message is going to be for every person, and that's okay. It's up to you to use your intuition, because that's what I believe tarot is. It's about empowering others to use their intuition, saying this is my message or this is not my message, right? So I've been reading tarot for about 7 years professionally, not online. And I've learned some things, and I think tarot can be very empowering to people if it's done correctly, right? So I don't use tarot as a way to be dramatic or induce fear or anything like that. I try not to overwhelm people with the messages that they receive, right? I'm more along the lines of someone who walks beside you and guides you with the messages, right? But you're also guiding yourself. So it's like when I'm reading, I think of that Robert Frost poem, two paths diverge in a wood, right? And so as a tarot reader, I'm showing you, here are the two paths. This is what's happening over here, and this is what I see over here, right? And it's up to you to make the decision. It's up to you to choose the path. And that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about being empowered through tarot, through messages. I think a lot of readers use tarot in a way, or not a lot of readers, but I have seen readers who use tarot as a way to employ dramatics, and it's something that I would not choose to do as a tarot reader, right? We're here to guide and empower people in making decisions in their own lives. We're not here to be dramatic. We're not here to say this is the path you must choose, right? Because we are not the ones walking the path. You are the one walking the path. So let's connect in with your intuition. That was a really long. Let's connect in with your intuition, my intuition, and the messages for the fire signs in March 2026. We already have this Three of Wands. I'm starting with the general reading. So this is Three of Wands. And if you see this girl holding a surfboard looking out into the water, and she's ready to kind of go, but there's also this kind of trepidation to the way she's standing, like she's unsure if this is the path, right? We're talking about being unsure of this path, if this is the way that she's going. And the fire signs, I feel like there is this trepidation. We're coming into Aries season, right? So Aries, fire sign, happy birthday. My mother is an Aries and my sister is an Aries, so happy birthday, Aries. But in March, in your season, this is very unusual. The way this message is coming through is with trepidation. And I'm hearing lost your spark. So I think specifically for the fire signs in March, it's like something has happened to trip you up in recent months where you are unsure of where your next footing is going to be, right? So you tend to be like this. So this is the Six of Wands. You tend to be very decisive, very out in the open about where you're going and what you need to do, and you make a decision, and the decision is done. But something has happened. So you moved from fire signs, you moved from a Six of Wands to a Three of Wands. Something has happened to cause you to lose your footing and be unsure of yourself and how you move forward in your own life. It's like tripping over your own feet, or not even tripping over your own feet. It's like you ever see an animal when it goes into fight or flight, and it's just like this, and it's just looking around and trying to gauge all the possible issues in the area, but they don't move. They just stand still. as if by standing still they won't be seen. And that's true for some animals, you know, they blend in very well and they're just going to stand still and they won't be seen. But a lot of the times they're going to be seen, right? And what's coming for them is going to come for them. And I think the way this is coming through, fire signs, is you've hit that standing still, which is very unusual for you, because you would, as I said, usually make a decision and burn right through it, right? So we're going to get into Aries. Happy birthday, Aries. We're going to see what's showing up for Aries in March. But I feel you like shaking off, Aries, the way you're coming in. You're shaking off this feeling. You don't stay stuck for too long. Even if you do get stuck, you don't stay stuck for too long, because you are naturally movers. Fire signs are movers. You know, it's not like an earth sign where they stay in one place for an extended period of time. Fire signs need movement in their life, right? Aries, March 2026. There's something around hair being styled, and this is going to be specific confirmation for somebody. There's something around hair being styled in a specific way, or wanting to style your hair in a specific way. And what I'm seeing is braids, okay? But braids being done in, it's almost like purpose. So like, purpose and intent being woven into braids. So if you want, say, blessings like health, money, whatever, weaving it into your hair, which is a very specific thing. I'm also seeing not just hair, but so if you do any type of textile work or anything like that, weaving it into a textile and keeping the textile on you. So like a little blessing textile is what I'm seeing, and you're weaving it and you're keeping it with you to keep that energy going. But specifically what came up first was hair, weaving blessings into hair. So if you want to weave in like little, you know, braids, but with charms or something in the hair, is coming through. That's pretty interesting. It's also the way it's coming through that doing something like that gives you a focus point and returns you back to being able to move on to the path, right? It's doing something with intention repeatedly, which also is interesting, because I said it's repeatedly doing something with intention. And action with intention helps you move out of that freeze state. And it doesn't have to be braids, doesn't have to be anything like that. It's an action repeated, moving you out of that freeze state, okay? It gives you something to focus on. It gives you a focus point that you can move beyond where you're stuck, okay? Aries, any other info for Aries? And I did do the yearlies at the beginning of the year. So Aries, you would probably want to go check out your yearly, your deep dive. I don't remember the message for that one, but that's a full deep dive. So it's like a 20-minute read probably on Aries for their year. Anything else for Aries? It's also like, okay, not just being stuck is what I'm getting, because like the cards aren't coming through. A hard time getting going is it's like the act of being stuck, but the getting going and the movement, it's almost like you're moving through sludge is what I'm getting, Aries. And I feel like a lot of that is going to kind of dissipate and move away as you move further into March. But I feel for a little bit it's been like moving through sludge, this kind of energy, and you're like, not only are you stuck because of what's within you, but you're stuck because of the energy externally, right? So it's starting to move through March where you're moving past that kind of sludgy feeling, right? It's gross. I don't like it. I don't like it. It's like moving through mud or moving through like a bog. And I think that's part of it, because like if you know anything about bogs, is like once you're in, it'll just pull you under. And I think part of that stopped movement is the fear that if you move anymore, you're going to get pulled under, okay? And I don't think that's something, Aries, that you have to worry about at this point. I think you are going to free yourself from that bog, from that mire, from that sludge. But you gotta let go of the fear, okay? You gotta give yourself a focus point, as I said. There's also something with... This is weird because I'm being drawn to my shirt, so I'm channeling too. I'm not just reading the cards, I channel. I'm being drawn to my shirt, which kind of looks like, it almost reminds me of, like, this is weird, like the veins or arteries in the chest. So for someone, this is very specific. The way it's coming in is like, it's not like heart attack or anything like that, like blocked veins in the chest. It's like what I'm seeing, you know, when someone is very pale, as I'm very pale, you can see the veins in the chest, right? Through the skin, because the skin is almost translucent, and that's what I'm getting. It's almost like if you work out or if you push the blood a lot, what I'm getting is a lot of blood rising into the chest area, a lot of heat, and I'm also getting this really interesting feeling of embarrassment. So if you've ever seen blood rise, so from, like, it'll go up, like people who flush, you flush from your chest up into your face, right? And you'll turn bright red. And that's what I'm getting is this sense of embarrassment. So part of what we were talking about, being stuck, but also being stuck not only in a fight or flight, but with a sense of embarrassment because there was a choice made that you felt did not put you in the best light, is the way it's coming through. Okay, so it's like you were forced to make a choice and you thought you could make a better choice and you didn't, and that's why you're also stuck, because you're getting this flush of embarrassment is the energy that's coming through. It's like, oh, I could have made a better choice and now it doesn't look that great on me, right? It doesn't reflect that great on me, and I don't know how to move forward where I can change that. And it's interesting because I think one of the other signs were like that too. I forget which sign, but you are going to move beyond it, Aries. You just have to kind of get beyond your fight or flight, get beyond your embarrassment, and focus on something external, a repeated action, as I said, but specifically a repeated action around blessing and like intention. It has to be with intention. So, and in like waking up in the morning, like if you do something like prayer or something, it doesn't even have to be religious or spiritual or anything like that, but something repeatedly with intention that gives you focus is going to be what moves you beyond this energy, because I do feel a lot of like shifting in the energy as we get later into the month. There's also something coming in around playing the lottery, Aries. Playing the lottery. I think it's very important this month, in the month of your birth, to play the lottery. I feel like you're going to be really lucky. And I keep seeing 8s, so if 8 is a number that you would typically play, I would play the 8s. Okay. I'm just here to play the 8s. Play the 8s. I think even just a scratch ticket, but if you're going to do like a Powerball or something, this is the month to do it. I think you will have a little winnings is the way it's coming through. Okay. Fire signs. We're gonna go into Leo now. Leo for the month of March 2026. This is weird because I'm being drawn to my thumb. Again, we're channeling. We're not just doing the tarot, so I actively channel. I'm being drawn to my thumb, and the way it's coming through, I'm seeing someone counting money, Leo. So, like, you know when people sometimes count money, they count it like this, right? So this is the funny thing. When I channel, I will be drawn to specific things that may not make sense initially to me or to other people, but as I talk myself through it, the message starts to come through. So this is literally, I'm going to give you guys this example. So as I said, I was being drawn towards my thumb, right? So, and I'm seeing money move. As I'm counting the cards like this, I'm seeing there's, but I'm seeing somebody count money, okay? And not just money, but like wads of money, okay? So I'm seeing like when you have money banded in in a band of like 1,000 or something, and you just go like this, if you don't have a money machine, you count it, right? I'm seeing bands of money. So this may actually be someone who works in banking, someone who works handling a lot of money. That may be part of it. And it may also be that you have started to come into more money. So it's the counting of the money is what I'm seeing. Let's get a little more clarification on Leo for the month, okay? Let's get a little more clarification on Leo and why that's coming through, why the money is coming through, Spirit. There's a warning coming through, so it does seem like you are coming into money, Leo, but the warning coming through is not to spend it, because what I'm seeing is like gold sparkles, right? Like gold dust, just like throwing the money and then it's gone, okay? So there is, you are coming into money, but it's an advisement instead of like, yes, count it out, but don't count it out to others. Count it out and keep it in your hand is what's coming through. Like, keep it with you. Don't spend it. Even though you want to spend it, don't spend it, because I feel like the reason that this money is coming through, Leo, is that you are being given an opportunity to hold money. And energetically, when you hold the money and you don't let it go, you're attracting more money, and the money will start to flow and continue to flow. But it's almost like a energetic or like universal challenge. Like, are you going to spend the money or are you going to hold the money? Okay, so the message coming through is hold the money. Don't let the money out of your hands just yet, because more is flowing, but it's like the first round. It's kind of like a test, right? Leo, anything else for Leo in March 2026? There's also something with a road and or with driving that's coming through, Leo. So you may be going on a trip. You may be, I'm seeing like a paved road where it's interesting. I'm seeing a paved road and you have the card clean it up. So clean it up is giving it to me like clean up the road behind you, okay? So don't leave any mess behind you from your previous life into this new year. Make sure you tie off relationships. Make sure you, whatever you need to do to kind of clean up energetically, the road behind you is going to be really important right now. As I said, because it's much like the money thing where it's can you hold the money, but also can you hold the energy appropriately, and can you clean it up behind you, you know, like where you're not leaving a mess of energy behind you, a mess of situations, a mess of relationships, yada yada, like closing things out basically, because it's kind of this space, the road less traveled that we're talking about, where it's you're choosing to move in a new direction, a better direction, but like it's how you're taking care of where you've already been is the most, that's a good one, how you're taking care of where you've already been, okay? Do you clean it up or do you leave it a mess, right? Do you close things out or do you leave them open, okay? So that's where you're being led right now, because you are being guided on the path, but how the path is unfolding is dependent on how you have handled things recently in the past, okay? So if there are relationships that need to be closed out, if there are things that need to be done or cleaned up, or things that need to be said or actions that need to be done, you need to do those in order for the path to continue unfolding in the way that you want, okay? It's that act of intent, it's that act of mindfulness, much like what I was getting with Aries. You need to have the intention, okay? Sagittarius. This is interesting. So I'm being drawn to the purple. We're just channeling. So it's funny, I've had purple rooms most of my life, right? So this exact shade, for whatever reason, everywhere I go is purple, and I don't necessarily paint them. I have painted them, but they're all purple, right? So I'm being drawn to this purple color for Sagittarius. I just want a little more clarification. So purple in itself actually means royalty, because royalty were the only ones who could afford purple, right? It was very expensive to make. It was a very expensive dye to make. And I believe, if I remember correctly, the dye that purple came from was the inside of a seashell, okay? So they would have to go and find these very specific seashells and collect the dye from, or collect the scrapings from the seashell in order to make the dye that would make purple, royal purple, okay? So it was very hard to find, very expensive to make. It was a long process, and that's why the royals and or nobility would be the only ones who would wear purple, who would wear royal purple. When you're talking about royal purple, you're talking about like a deep jewel tone purple. Not quite this. I have my little binder, but like darker than this even, like a deep rich purple, but getting into that area, right? So you could kind of fake a purple dye with other things, like say like a cabbage or like a red cabbage. You get kind of like a red purpley dye, but it's not going to be that true royal purple unless it comes from, you know, that source. And I'm pretty sure it's seashells, just off the top of my head, so I have to look this up again, but I'm pretty sure it's seashells. But for Sagittarius, we're talking about the color purple. Why are we talking about the color purple? This is so funny. I think it's funny when I start to channel, because more often than not, I don't know where I'm going until I get there. Deep knowing. I don't know where I'm going until I get there, and I talk myself through it, and then I get there and I'm like, oh, that was actually some good information, right? That made sense. Right? And or I'll be on point. So the funny thing about tarot reading, this is me just talking off to the side, we're having a little chat here. The funny thing about tarot reading, a lot of people go to tarot readers and I think they're like, you know so much, blah blah blah. And for me, and for a lot of other, you know, clairvoyance, clairaudience, whatever your clair is, that's different types of senses, right, that you sense beyond. For a lot of those I've spoken to, and for myself, we don't know the message until we like get to it, basically. And I often, in a reading, I will be just as surprised as the person that I'm reading that information came out and that it was as accurate as it was. I consistently get very accurate readings, especially if the person is very open, especially if the person is very empathic. Because, and this is another side, I'm going to tell you how I read and how I interpret reading. When I'm sitting with somebody, we project our energy, right? So everything we're thinking, everything we're feeling is in our energetic field. And this is how I interpret how I'm getting messages. It's not necessarily how everyone gets messages, but this is how I interpret it. So everything we're thinking, everything we're feeling is in our energetic field, right? And we carry that around with us all day. And it's being advertised in that energetic field, okay? So as I see it, people who are empathic, people who are intuitive, people who are readers, we're reading that, we're tuning to that station of you're asking to be read, and we're going to tune to that station. And then we're going to start seeing the pictures, right? We're going to get the sense of what's coming in, right? So that is how I read. I am literally reading what you are projecting in your energetic fields, okay? And that's how I know things. That's it, you know? And I've hyper-tuned my senses to be able to do that. And I have gotten messages many times that are so completely accurate that I scare both myself and the other person, right? And not like scare like, oh God, but like it's a surprise. It's a surprise, right? And so it's not like, you know, for me that I'm this all omniscient being. It's I sit down with a person and I tap into their energy and I read and I go, oh, this is what's coming up for you, you know? And usually most people will be like, oh, wow, that's surprisingly accurate, you know. So that's how I read. And the way that this is coming through for Sagittarius, let's get back to the reading. That was my little side note. Let's get back to the reading. Sagittarius is that you are being asked to heighten your intuition, Sagittarius. You are being asked to tap in, because what does purple also represent besides royalty? What does it also represent? It represents the third eye, which has to do with intuition, okay? So you are being asked to heighten your intuition, Sagittarius. And how does that look? What do you do in order to heighten your intuition? Meditation is one way. If that's not your gig, seeking out and finding synchronicities, okay? Looking for synchronicities, things, messages, things like that. And I can hear people be like, how do you do that? If you are searching for an answer during your day and you ask the question in the morning, say, where do I go about my health? Okay, you ask the universe and you say, universe, guide me. I need to know something about my health, something specifically, right? Today, I would like to receive a message specifically about this thing that I'm struggling with around my health, example, okay? And you say that very clearly and with intention. Intention is the big word for the fire signs in March. You say that very clearly and with intention in the morning, and you let the universe bring the answer to you. And the weird thing is, it may be someone saying something, a stranger you pass by, or you have a conversation with someone, and that answer comes to you, okay? But I want you to be very specific with the universe. I want you to say, today, within these 24 hours, universe, guide me on the next step to help me with this issue, whatever the issue is, okay? And that's how you start to work with your intuition, because you're asking and you're receiving and you're confirming that this is the answer that you needed, right? If you're not going to do a meditation, if you're not going to look for like angel numbers or whatever, those are all ways to guide too, but that's a good way to start. It's holding out your hand to the universe and saying, this is what I need help with. Can you bring it back to me? It's using your trust and your intuition and not second guessing yourself when the answer comes to you, right? Just saying, this is the answer I got. Okay. So this is what Sagittarius is coming into for March. Anything else for Sagittarius? I'm also being called to the color green. Like my little makeup thing here, this green. So, and not green like Leo with money. It's being green like, it's being green. So this is what we're talking about, me talking myself into the message. Being green with envy, okay? There is someone coming in, Sagittarius, or there has been someone recently around you, and this may be someone you trust, and I don't like to say these types of messages a lot, but I just want you to be aware that there may be someone around you who has a little bit of envy and or jealousy towards you. Or this may actually be arising within yourself, and if it is, I want you to notice it, okay? And allow it to pass through you. Because when we have envy or jealousy, that means that we are coveting something that someone else has, that is theirs very specifically, okay? We are coveting what is theirs, okay? And what is that Bible quote? I don't know. Don't covet your neighbor's wife or something like that. But here's the thing, envy or jealousy gets you nowhere because you're coveting something that is very specifically not for you. Okay? And if someone is coveting something of yours, they are coveting something that is not for them. So this may be something that comes up for you in March, Sagittarius. If you find it rising within yourself, let it go, let it move through you, acknowledge it, and maybe try to figure out, where this is coming from, what exactly that coveting, that jealousy is trying to fill within you, because that's what it is. You covet something that you believe you don't have. That's what it is. That's where jealousy comes from, is you want something that somebody else has that you believe you don't have, which is completely untrue, right? Okay, so, and the other side of that, as I said, you cannot have what they have because it's for them. It's for them. And they cannot have what you have because it's for you. You only have what's for you. And when you are coveting something else that someone else has that you will never get, in that exact formation, you are actively detracting from what is yours because your energy is not focusing on that. Okay, so the March reading is very much, focusing on heightening your intuition to get the messages that you need, Sag, to take the next step. And don't allow, if you have jealousy arising, don't allow that to take you over, because it will detract from what is actually yours and what is actually incoming for you. That's the message. Okay, my name is Lindsey Rose. This is Storyteller Tarot. If you would like your own personal reading, you can check out all the links that I have, the 9,000 links. Otherwise, I wish you guys well.